We always talk present-day deals. Let's talk the future. And one of the things that's happened and will have an impact on everybody in the future, Disney has cut a deal with Dish Network for over-the-top rights. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, really a fascinating development. I mean, heretofore, the rights that have only been sold in TV, just sort of TV and TV everywhere rights, where you buy it through your set-top box and you get all the programming services. Well, in this case, Disney not only did the TV rights deal, but they also gave Dish over-the-top rights, which means that in the future you'll be able to buy programming rights without having a set-top box. Now there's some variables around that where naturally Disney's not going to let them sell their own channels separately, so they'll have to go out and get more programming services like CBS and News Corp and Turner and other networks so they can deliver a bundled channel. But over the top is much different than the regular TV.
So that's why it's a future deal. In essence, Dish has this deal with Disney, but Disney is saying, look, you got to get somebody else on board. It can't just be us.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one of the really interesting things here, I mean, it really is a look at the future in that they're describing this as a PSS, a personal subscription service. So whereas you watch on your regular TV through a set-top box where the whole family gets around the TV and you could watch, you know, whatever program you want to watch, in this case, it's not a family subscription. It is an individual personal subscription. So you'll be able to customize what you want, although you'll still have to buy a bundle of channels, but it's only for one person.
How does this, I would say, like young guys like Bob and the whole evolution of how they watch stuff, you know, on their iPhones and laptops and things like that. How does this fit into that whole evolution of how sports content is devoured by the consumer? And did we start to see some of this early, you know, like when MLB did its new deal with ESPN and Fox, they sold, you know, the internet rights and so the TV everywhere rights, exactly.
Well, I think old guys like us, we'll still continue to watch it mostly on television, but it's really, this is designed to get at a demographic that heretofore really hasn't watched a lot of television, right? They're otherwise known as cord nevers, right? So you've got that sort of 18 to 24-year-old group that's sort of just buying their video products off of television, right? So they're watching it on their iPads and their smartphones, and they get a Netflix or a Hulu, and they have a broadband connection, and that satisfies them. The real interesting, I think, the real move here, and Disney, Dish, I think, really illustrated this, was sports is playing a huge role, because this was really about Dish getting over-the-top rights to ESPN, even though they got ABC retransmission and all the other networks that the Disney company owns. The real driver here was ESPN and their very widely, you know, their widely consumed ESPN networks. Okay, so what I think the next evolution of this will be, and it'll be really interesting to see how in the local markets where all the really valuable local in-market streaming rights are in terms of MLB and NBA and NHL, how does that make its way into this next iteration of programming and distribution deals?
What about that ad hopper mechanism that Dish had to allow people who are streaming and watching videos to skip ads? How important was that in allowing them to secure this deal?
I think incredibly important. I really think that's the trade here that Charlie Ergen has really smartly engineered, which is they've had this hopper technology which skips through commercials, so it really undermines the business model for commercial television, right? So that's why all the broadcasters are in lawsuits. Well, part of the deal here was Disney dropped their lawsuit, right, in return for getting the economics they needed on all their channels, plus Dish Network got back the over-the-top rights. So, and I think a great illustration of that going forward will be, already we've read reports that DirecTV is now in the same exact negotiation with ESPN for the same type of deal. So once you sort of catch that, right, and the industry accepts the business model, I think that's where you'll start to see some traction.